Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of AngularAir. I'm your host, Justin Schwarzenberger. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about monorepos and kind of seeing how we can do a monorepo approach with the default Angular CLI. Very similar to how Nx and Nx monorepos does. We're going to kind of dive into it from a very vanilla, Angular CLI vanilla state. So we'll check that out. Should be pretty cool. It's me and the panelists today. So we've got Alyssa with us. Alyssa, how's it going?
Great. So excited to be here.
Awesome. And Mike is with us. I think he's muted. No, he's not muted. He's just miming. What's going on, Mike?
Not too much.
I'll just let you talk.
I'm not muted. I just wasn't saying anything.
I was trying to describe what you were doing to the
analog
that can see it. Yeah, I know. How's it going?
Good. Going well. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
It's been a couple weeks since we've done one of these, so missed you too. Right. We're all back together. Yeah.
I feel like I want to throw on a hat. Not the one from earlier.
There we go. All right.
Okay. Question. How many hats do you have within reach at this given moment in your life?
4.
I've got 4. I've got one back there.
Wait, 4 on top of this.
I can't imagine.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Decoration on top of your head.
See, I got 3 more. There's one under here too.
Oh, what's the under one? Is that an Angular one?
This is an Angular one. And I have a hockey one.
Oh, that's right. Sports ball. My poor son.
It's not a ball, but yes.
He's starting t-ball and soccer, and the coach for the t-ball, he texts me and he says he needs a glove and he needs a hat or like a helmet. And I was like, me and my husband go, okay, we got to go find. I said, should we get like, the batting gloves? Is that what he's talking about? Like for grippy ball. And then finally.
Wait. He says he needs a helmet and a glove. Oh, I see. That's where the glove is confused.
And we both were like, why would he only need one glove for swinging a bat? Don't you need 2 gloves? And I was like, once we finally figured out he was talking about like the catcher's mitt, like we felt so stupid. And Zach was like, what are we going to do? Like, we know nothing about sports ball. And he wants to do all the sports balls. I was like, I don't know. This is going to be so awful. Like trying to teach him. Hopefully we can just get the right equipment and show up and not look really dumb. So that's the goal. But no, I'm proud of you and your hockeying. That's cool. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Nice.
If you have sports questions, you can run it by Justin. We'll be happy
absolutely
we'll happy to sports educate.
Especially because I almost showed up just with like a singular batter's glove and not
batting glove.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, batter's gloves are all preference. I like this conversation. Let's do this today.
It's so stressful, Mike. Like I just want you to imagine like the uncomfortableness for me and my husband because we both, I don't know.
It's like going into a new code base with a technology you're not familiar with. Uncharted territory. How things work? I don't know.
I feel like the coding community, and maybe it's just like my experience from it, is more accepting of noobs and people making like mistakes and like not knowing what they're doing. Whereas like the sports community, if we're the only 2 parents there that show up with the wrong equipment, can you imagine?
By the way, I got a mental picture of him showing up to first day and he's got like this Michael Jackson white studded glove, like the rhinestone glove or whatever. That would be awesome.
Well, and I was like, because we were talking about it and I was like, should we order him a glove for the top hand or the bottom hand? How do you...
That's all preference. Like I said, it could be either.
Okay. So I'm really honestly, I'm super. So do you guys know what next week is? Do you know?
I do.
I think I know.
Oh my God.
I hope you 2 know. You got some responsibilities.
Oh no. Trust me. Really. The what are those things? Ulcers. No. The ulcers know about their responsibilities. Next week is NGConf, and I'm super excited about it. I am emceeing, which is going to be amazing. That's not the ulcery part. The ulcery part is the all-day workshop that I'm teaching right before the conference. And so Joe Eames was like, listen, Alyssa, I have like this document, right, of like me outlining what I'm going to do. And then I, at the top of it, put Joe's tips because he's a brilliant man, right? One of his tips was you want about 10 to 12 demos. And I, of course, went and made 13. And I'm looking at these demos, and these are Angular projects, right? And I just want to share. I'm going to share them with you. And you're all going to be horrified. I know. And maybe you can tell me if maybe it wasn't a big mistake. That's kind of my hope. My secret hope is that you all will look at what I'm doing today and be like, no, it's not that bad. Yeah, that's okay. So here is, I'm going to like big zoom. Okay, and we're gonna collapse. So here are the 13 demos, and they're all inside of this one. What I was like, hey, look at my Monorepo, right? It's a repo that has other Angular apps in it, but I don't think I did it right because they're all their own project. I can't see your faces, so you're gonna have to verbally tell me if I'm horrifying you or not.
I'm making faces.
Are you?
Is this what's the name of your theme for VS Code? Is that Notepad? The Notepad theme?
Oh, okay. So
It's very
yes.
black and white.
You can make fun of me for that. So while I was working on an animation example for showing reduced motion, I found there is, oh my gosh, you guys are going to be amazed by this. And maybe everybody's going to use it because it's amazing. You can go into accessibility and you can go into display, and there is this increased contrast, which I did, and it like flipped my theme for VS Code into this, and it hasn't swapped back out, but I'm not mad. Like I kind of love it.
Nice.
But no, I've been like living like this now with increased contrast, and it's like, I don't know, I have bad eyes, so I love it. But my husband definitely makes fun of me. This is not a Monorepo, or it is a Monorepo, because I do have a gitignore at the base root here.
All right, can you expand one of the folders?
Okay. Yeah. It's all, and they all look like this.
Is
apps. Are you making faces? I can't tell if you're ashamed.
I'm trying to decide if this is or is not a monorepo. I mean, by definition, monorepo means one repository, which means all of this code goes into the same source code repository.
Right. But
is
in
that
my mind, monorepo means, well, I thought it might mean you start ngserve in one place. But if we think about Google's monorepos, there's no way you can serve up everything and they're all in one. I don't understand monorepos at all. Can you guys help?
Yeah. Justin, you can add on to this if you'd like. But to me, by definition, a monorepo means all the code lives in one version.
Okay.
In one Git repository.
It's Justin. Hang on.
Right.
I'm going to stop screen sharing.
Where's your .git folder?
My .git folder, is here in this root one with the gitignore. You can't see him here. We'd have to go to Finder, who's horribly small. But yeah, he's right here with my.
Okay. Then that I would say this is a monorepo. You just happen to have multiple projects underneath inside of it.
But the way that you all work, because we're having a side conversation about how the CLI supports monorepos. She wasn't supporting me in this. I just kind of did it. So,
Justin, did you want to add on?
Yeah, this is a really great opening, right? Because it's just talking about the concept of like what a monorepo is, and I think that like when we start thinking about NX as a solution or the Angular CLI as supporting, a monorepo kind of approach with multiple apps and stuff and libs breaking down inside of it. Yes, that's like giving you a monorepo type solution, but what is the definition, like Mike said, of monorepo, right? And I would think that the root definition is that it's one repository that has a bunch of stuff in it, right? And so for what you created, from what I've seen, is you do have one repository, right? And you have just a bunch of folders inside of it, and they happen to be Angular CLI app folders inside of each of those. So by definition, I would say it's a monorepo. Now, can you refine that into something that is more manageable potentially? Then I think that, that would be the next step, right?
Because I think that was my question is like, should you have shared files because there's a lot of duplication? They're all Angular apps. Or at that point, no, they need to be isolated because what if, I don't know. I'm very confused on how to like make that next step into cleaning it up. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have made one Angular app and then like nestled everything inside of it instead of shoving a bunch of Angular apps inside of a folder.
Yeah. So what you get by the refinements that Justin was talking about is quality of life improvements from both the dev experience, the code sharing experience, and just the
Dependency
idea of reducing
consistency,
duplication.
right? And dependency consistency. So like when you talk about, hey, we use Angular, right? Can we make sure that all of our code in this monorepo is using the same version of Angular at any given moment, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Not
So
only that,
that's
but
one of
like if I need to update Tailwind, I need to update Angular. I'm going
Right.
to have to go do that in 13 places. And I'm
Right.
actually about to duplicate them all so it can have a start and a finish. So it's going to be 26 cases. So how do you manage then dependencies for all of these? Do you just have them all? You essentially like move up package JSON to the like upmost root bit and
Well-
then point everything up there? Like, how do you?
Well, let's take a step back. How do we want to go about this discussion? Do we want to just talk about it? Do we want to try and set up something new?
Yeah,
Do
I
we
would love
want
to make
to-
something new.
Okay.
But
I think that moving what you have is a little bit more challenging. That'll take a little bit more time with
right.
some other gotchas in there. So I think if we start from scratch
Yeah.
and then add on to that, we can do it live if you'd like.
No, I'd love that. And I know chat is very much hating my light mode, and I apologize. I love you all.
Hey, but you have dark mode as your background. I dig that.
I support
okay.
whatever mode you want to roll with. So just let you know.
I don't know if you all know this, but light mode, bright mode, it should be called bright mode, is easier on bad eyes, but that is all. Okay, I'm gonna, do you want me to do it or do you want to do it, Mike? Or anybody can do it, but I was gonna, while you drive.
If I'm doing it, I got no environment set up, so I'd have to.
I can totally do it. I just need helps with the commands.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna go share my screen.
You drive, Alyssa.
I'm driving with the driving in.
So your question about like elevating like package JSON and doing that sort of thing, right? You can certainly do that. You could, take your repo that you have right now, figure out how you're going to elevate package JSON to the top level and then try and, update those things. There's some complexity there and it's a challenging journey. And that's one of the things I think like when we talk about the Angular CLI and we talk about things like Nx is that it provides that opportunity to kind of handle that stuff for you. Like Mike's mentioning, it's probably easier to start fresh because that becomes like the root of your repository at that point. So starting fresh, what we'll do here is start a new Angular CLI project, and then we'll build inside of that to make it out, to be our monorepo, right?
I'm so excited to learn how to do this because it is a little overwhelming. All right, I'm making, well, maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. And then I was going to but maybe it should be an Angular project. I don't know. What are your thoughts
You're good. You just created a place for us to play.
Okay. Now, how do we do it?
just do it.
Okay. Well, do you want me to make one? Yeah.
Hold on. So we're going to do this using just Angular CLI. No, we're not going to use NX. We're not going to dive into that, right?
I mean, we could eventually. Isn't it not the first step, though? Wouldn't we just use the CLI in the beginning? Are you saying NX is like I'm confused.
Let's use the CLI. Let's do the CLI because we talked about doing, the title of our episode is using the Angular CLI to do Nx Style Monorepos, right?
Okay.
So let's see how out the box we can do it with Angular CLI.
Yeah. So you step back, talk to chat real quick. So you mentioned NGConf being next week. If you're going to NGConf, I do much better attending than I do saying it. Say hi in chat. Let us know you'll be there and stop and make sure you say hi to us.
Yes, I'm going to be teaching a Tailwind workshop. So say hi to me on Monday, and then throughout the week, come find us.
Your workshop's Monday?
It is. It is Monday.
I fly in Tuesday.
It's fine. It's totally fine. I'm just okay. Question: because I set it up in this manner, Will my attendees have to do an npm install for each one?
Yep. Yeah, because they're in their own folders, right? So that's another reason why.
Right. So
this
if whatever
works.
magic you teach me today, I might be redoing the demos. It just depends on how this goes. So we'll see. But yeah, how do you like, is it literally just like this? And do you knew my Monorepo?
Whatever you want to call it. How so? What's the here? This is your workshop. What's the name of your workshop? And before you do, I don't want you to run this quite yet.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Let me know when you're ready to talk.
I'm ready.
Okay, so can you go into your projects?
You want me to go into this bits?
Yeah. Expand any of them because they're all Angular projects, right?
Yes.
Okay. So imagine that your project right now is just the 1.0 _basics folder. You have this folder there called source.
Yes.
Right. When you create an Angular CLI project, it puts the project in source. If you have multiple applications, it then creates a folder called projects.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you would have the initial one would be in source and everything else would be in projects.
But so all of this down here is going to be shared. Yes?
Not all.
Some of it.
Some of it, yeah.
Because like this one right here, she changes from project to project. So that was a big scary thing of oh, I don't know if I go with this Monorepo route, I need for each project a custom Tailwind config. But you're saying I could still potentially have that maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to find you a link real quick.
I'm so excited. Oh my God, that would fix everything. These poor people are going to be npm installing all day long.
When we ng new, we can tell it to do project, right? I believe. It's been a minute.
So Alyssa, in private chat, I'm going to put a message there, and you can click on that and show that.
I'm going to move this over here and go back to here. Go to this, showing that.
That's why we're looking at the documentation. And if you scroll down to the one that's right there at the bottom, you can zoom into if you want.
I do once. This one? Argument?
Keep going.
Wait, what? Collection.
Third one. Create application. So what that does, it's true by default, will create your application in the source directory. It'll create an application for you by default when you run ng new.
But we don't want this, or we do want this? Wait, I'm confused. Because a create application is for singular, right? So we want projects, not application.
Yeah. I am not a huge fan of how that ends up working, in that you have different places where your applications go. I prefer them all to go in one place. NX will use two folders, one for apps, one for libs. The CLI uses a folder called projects.
Oh.
And I prefer everything to be in projects, whether it be an app or lib, when just doing a CLI monorepo. Does that make sense?
So should I add this flag then?
I like that flag and I set it to false.
Right, just how do you set a flag to false?
Equals false.
Equals not a colon.
And I think space false works as well.
But I think your application is spelled wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's two P's. You need PP.
Can I press enter? Can we try it?
I said PP.
I did it. I pressed enter.
Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a project, but if you'll notice, there's no TypeScript files being created. It's just creating your root folder for you with no application. So if you were to do ng serve, there's nothing to serve because you haven't created an application yet.
Weird. It's like creating the scaffolding for...
Yep. It created something called a workspace.
A workspace?
Yes.
Gosh, this is just the coolest.
So, Alyssa, you also do a different stream called .NET, or excuse me, JavaScript growing with .NET World.
Yes.
So the idea of a workspace here is synonymous with a solution in .NET
Shut
and then
up.
you have projects underneath.
Oh my God, that's so cool. But Workspace doesn't have a singular solution file, right? Like there are singular workspace file, right? It's like a bunch of files that make up the workspace.
There's a package JSON file.
There's also an Angular JSON file.
Oh my gosh, you guys, let's pull it up and let's make the people angry with our light modes.
I like that your alias is VS Code. Mine's just code.
I ain't gonna lie, this theme is growing on me.
I'm not gonna lie, it's not.
Listen. Eyes blind. I love it.
Can you go back to your terminal?
Yeah.
And we'll close this instance of VS Code because we're going to open up the Tailwind Workshop directory. The Monorepo bits is just a wrapper directory that we don't need for here. Nope. No, other way.
Oh. Mono CD
and then Tailwind. Yep.
And then we want to VS Code into it, and it will be beautiful, and we will be happy. Let's put you on main, and then let's make you bigger. And let's check out what we got going on in our nuggets. VS Code, node modules. I don't even know where you go from here. Like.
Yep.
It's simple. It's simple.
it really is. So what do you want to be able to? What do you want to create?
So I need the ability to create these different examples that are even running projects, right?
Yep. And a running project in Angular is called a
app.
Yep. Oh, you already have the ability to create things and generate things with the CLI. So you need.
You want me to ng new inside of this?
No, there's a schematic to be able to generate an application. And what ng-new does by default without create application false is that it actually calls the generate application.
I don't know what you just said. Oh, you're saying create application is the default.
Yes. And when you do that, it basically runs ng-new, which creates this workspace. And then it says, hey, now that you have this workspace, create an application for you. And you said, hey, skip that part because I want to run it myself.
So how do we wait? So
how do you generate
what's the
things
missing
with the Angular
part?
CLI?
Just ng-new?
Inside of
ng-generate, I guess.
Yeah, generate.
There it is. So now you want to ng-generate.
ng-ga?
For
app?
A lot of those aliases have changed and gone away.
So oh no! Alyssa loves the aliases.
Same. I was not happy about this.
Can we do -- help?
Oh yeah.
ng generate -- help.
Yeah.
And see if it tells us.
I
think you might have to do.
You need generate help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you want me to turn those back on? Is this?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Or
do ng g space -- help. And we'll get the help for the generate command.
Yep. And I think you could also run list, which will list out all those schematics, but I'm not 100% on that. It's been a while since I've done that.
App shell application class component directive.
The second one.
Yeah, I thought so. So let's do. Can we just do we name it?
Yep.
I think I'm in the right spot. Oops. I didn't necessarily need routing, but I picked it. So okay.
See the folder it's putting it into?
Hang on. Projects demo 1. And it's making. Oh my God. This is so cool. So how does running it work?
So once it does this, open up the folder where this is at, and we'll open up the other folder that you have for your other repo, and we'll just compare the two folders real quick.
Okay. I'll put this one over here, and we're going to go side by side, but I'm going to put Peacock, and this one's going to be Mike. What's your favorite color?
Orange. I'll answer for Mike. It's orange.
Okay.
That's
so
not orange.
Orange is our new repo. It's not. He's like,
Close
it is definitively not orange.
I'll make it orange. Even my cable for my microphone is orange.
Do you guys ever like sometimes accidentally like roll over a dog and you're like, oh, sorry, dog. I didn't mean to.
No, I've never done that. Sorry.
He's
Like
all
with
the
your
time
chair?
under my chair.
Oh.
Okay. So we have, this is our, hang on, I'm going to put this on the left side and this one on the right side. So this is the OG one, and I have a bajillion things inside, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so we can see just a little bit more. And then we have, once we open up a folder, and then this one, projects. Oh God. Source? What is
This is
happening?
the one thing I'm not a fan in VS Code, how it nests that folder. Like it always drives me nuts. So on the right, you have a folder called demo one. It's the only folder in the projects folder. So VS Code makes it one
that's
line.
how.
And mentally, I like to
Yes.
see the structure.
I
Can
think you
we-
can turn that off, but
You can?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. Hang on. I'm going to go real quick and do this again, just so that hopefully that like makes VS Code quit it. I don't need routing on this one. Let's get spicy with it. Okay. So now we go.
I like that solution. I do that same thing. Like instead of, oh, let me just go look up the setting. Nah, dude, I'll just create another folder.
Let's create another app. Oh yeah, the
I'm there with you on
laziness.
that.
The laziness is real today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got demo 1, demo 2. This makes so much more sense. I'm so glad you pointed that out, because I was like, they're just gonna shove all these source files together. Okay, no, they actually have their own folders. Hang on, you have, but the Angular. Where's the Angular? Who has it? Wait,
Wow.
what?
what Angular are you talking about?
That dot Angular. So I think that's when you do a build and it's the cache, right?
Oh yeah. The
So-
dot
And
Oh,
where would
really
it put it?
much-
Will it put it in here or in here?
It's all the way at the root. I don't know. Run a build.
Yes, let us. Thinking. Hang on. You just taught me things. Projects, demo, and ng serve. I haven't actually built those, so it was generated on serve, which I guess is kind of
So,
building because you gotta
stop.
see it. So
What is
Stop.
your terminal doing?
what? What is-
Tilde DMTP?
Dev tildes. You're at the root.
Yes, but
Development. and
is your
then
terminal
done.
collapsing those to the first character?
It's collapsing him to the first character.
I dig that.
Is that a? You need that? You like that?
Yeah.
I like
we'll
it.
talk later.
Okay.
So-
Sorry, I should have specified a different port. Yeah, use a different port.
So I noticed that you jump right into like CDing into that directory, right?
Yeah.
You
Should I know?
do not need to do that. You could
What the
stay at
frick?
that top
Hang on.
level.
Hang on, we're going up. We're gonna go.
Yeah.
We're gonna CD our way up. Let's do it.
Okay.
CD. Oh
So
my
when
God,
you
you
ng
guys.
serve, you're doing ng serve with no commands. It's going to serve whatever the default configured project is. And when you do the old way that you had before, not the old way, but the way that you did before with create application, there's only one application. So ng serve is going to serve that application. But the ng serve command supports telling it what project to serve. So you can remain at the top level and say ng serve, and then whatever the name of your project that you want to serve.
Oh my gosh.
Probably
is
in this
gonna be
case,
so
demo
cool.
-1 or demo -2. Same thing with build, ng build, right?
Hang on, my head is really hurting. How? Okay, so we're. So it's why
So
is it
go-
running?
Hold on. Go to your Angular JSON file in VS Code. Please.
I found it.
Now search for default in there.
Find default.
Keep going. Search again. One more time.
There's only.
Search-
Oh, there it is. down
There
near the
we
bottom.
go. You can specify when you run it without saying, hey, this is the project I want to run this command for. It'll say, oh, you didn't tell me, so I'm going to go look and I'll use that one.
Wait. While it's running, can you switch projects, or do you need to stop the server, change it to demo 2 if you want to see demo 2, and then you restart the server? Tell me your wisdom.
The running a project is a separate thing from telling the command which one to run, so it doesn't switch on the fly.
Run them all.
Does not switch on the fly because like there's
Run
no
'em
way
all.
to like be like this. There's no way to be like
This is true. You can
Flash
run them all.
demo 2. No, that's not a thing.
Let it fly. Run them all. You can run them all. The only thing you're gonna have to deal with is what port they run on.
This is the funnest thing. How do we do
That's
it
awesome.
now? How do you run them all?
So go back to the command line.
Okay. I'm so excited. Do we stop this server?
Yeah, tell that
Yes,
puppy to
please.
stop. Please.
I did it.
Please do. All right, so
pleasing all
do
things.
ng space serve space dash help.
Help!
So I think we're gonna have like a project one in here. Are these alphabetical?
There's prod, there's port pole. Scroll up. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so we can fit a little bit more.
Project. It's just an argument.
Oh, the name of the.
So
You don't need a
you do
dash.
no dash, right? So we could do ng space serve space. What'd you call it? No, you can leave that off. You
Demo
just
dash.
whatever the name of the project is. Demo -1, and then do you can leave that off. I don't know if that would. It's only gonna do one at a time, so you have to open up another terminal to run it, right? And then
Oh, I understand what you're saying now. Okay, and
But
Yeah,
correct
there
me
you
if
go.
I'm wrong. You might be able to build all of them at once. I think build may do all of them by default.
build,
Build like compile for
but
releasing.
not doing this.
But not serving. No. No. That no worky.
You should see
Yes,
the
it
crazy
could.
things I try to do. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
All right, so
So
now
this is
open
gonna-
another terminal tab
And then I can
and do the same thing with a different app and a different port.
4, 5, 4, 6.
Change
Oh,
the
no.
project number.
I did not change the project number. Very important. Go over to demo. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna do it? Is it doing it? So that's so cool. So like you don't even need to go into the JSON file.
No,
Like
that's the default.
to
So when
change
you
the
type ng serve and you
Right.
don't tell it which one, it'll go look and find out which one to run.
is it possible to say this? Not possible because it just looked for a project called all. Okay, cool.
I mean, if you need a project called all,
It's just a string match.
Oh, sad day. Okay. Let's see. I want to see.
I like how you get into a little bit of technology and you're like, this is really cool. Now I want all the things. I mean, it's like you start to ride a bike and you're like, look at that sweet jump. I'm ready to launch off that thing, right? And you're like, okay, well, let me just figure out how to get down the street first, right?
Oh my God. Okay,
I'm excited. It's cool.
It's working, but also I need to see this in my VS codes. Hang on. We got to see the project. So we've got the source and then we've got our app. Oh my God. What is happening? Hang on. Yes, it's all here. And we go back and then we go into demo 2 and then it also has the source, but how do we install things? Like npm install Tailwind. You do that like at the root?
Sounds good.
Yep, do it.
Okay.
But before you do,
Yeah.
go back to VS Code real quick.
VS Code. Hang on, I'm going to move this one over so that VS Code's next to us. Okay.
Collapse your projects folder.
Collapse my
Actually,
projects.
leave it as is. Sorry, expand that again. Sorry.
What?
So, if you look for package JSON, you'll notice that there is one at the root, but not underneath each individual project.
Which is what we want.
Yes. So
Yes.
when you create a new project, it doesn't need to reinstall all of the dependencies for that.
I feel like such a fool. I'm a fool.
No.
Oh,
No,
yes.
Not at all.
This is
Not at
so
all.
beautiful. Okay, we got to go over it one more time. We created an Angular Monorepo by using the create application flag and setting it to false because we essentially are like, just give me the scaffolding, yo. And then we said ng new, did we say app? I think we said app. Ng generate app. And that created, and then you just do that each time you need a new app inside of here. Is this what Google means when they say we have monorepos? Yes? Like, you think they actually look
kind
like
of.
all the code lives in one place.
Dustin's like,
Now they probably have. Well, I don't want to get into what they have because I don't know specifically. It's just what I've heard that they have. So
You don't think they have Angular monorepos?
They keep all the source code for their dependencies in there as well. So they have the Angular source code as part of theirs, and they have a very complicated build system that will compile what it needs, but it also does a lot of caching. So if you haven't changed it, it doesn't rebuild.
Do you? We were gonna try installing something, but I don't. We're gonna try it at the root, I think.
Yes.
What we said.
So this is just real quick on a side note on that. That's where we say, okay, we're starting with the Angular CLI, and the Angular CLI is providing us this kind of monorepo approach to Angular applications, right? And maybe some TypeScript libs and things like that. And then the solution with NX is really trying to say, okay, it's agnostic to Angular. It's providing the same sort of kind of approach as the CLI, but not coupled directly to Angular. So now you could have Angular apps, you could have React apps, you can have any other things, servers, node servers, all this stuff. But it's doing that workspace concept for you, right?
Oh, wait, you're saying I can put like a Blazor app in here?
NX may or may not support .NET. I don't know.
Sorry. I mean, I can put like a React app in here in this?
In an NX monorepo, yes. In an Angular
NX
CLI one, it's not as broad scoped. I guess.
I think you could get there. You'd have to do a bunch of manual stuff to make that happen, right? And that's the idea of NX, is that it's agnostic to that. So now it's saying, hey, look, we're going to handle the underlying stuff that you need to do to make that easier for you. You could do add a React app or add a
when
Next.js app.
People utilize this on their like day-to-day in like big companies, are they putting like their backend apps, their node apps, their API bits, like, are they all going in here too? Like, is that the idea?
Some yes, some no.
Oh, okay.
It's an adoption thing, right? Of like people, I think part of the first step is understanding what this provides and what this, gets you to, and then comparing it to what you've done over time, right? Because most of the time it's your separate projects, bringing it in, stuff like that. And so it's understanding what this solution can provide and then figuring out how to fit all the bits and pieces together. What makes sense. But I mean, the concept would be ideally that you would be going, hey, look, if we have everything under the one umbrella of this monorepo, you can do things like, control versioning, control the fact that like when you have a backend your front end that talks to your backend, and the backend has some changes for the API signature, and your front end gets changed with it. Like when you're in a monorepo, you say like this branch of the monorepo has the two pieces that work together, right? When they're separate, you're like, well, over in this repo, the backend, we need version 3.7 to go with our new front end version 9.2 or whatever. So the monorepo also gives you that ability to understand the relationship between the apps across the board and keep them, one update that is consistent across. So like when Google, from what I understand, when they have an update to Angular version, then the Angular team goes out and says, hey, look, we updated this version. There's a breaking change. We go into the monorepo, and everywhere that's using that, Angular CDK that has a change, they would go into all the other apps in the monorepo and make sure that they're working and aligned with the version that lives in monorepo of the new version of Angular, right?
I see.
So that's kind of the power that bringing them in gives you, is that you can then say, hey, we'll make a branch that supports the changes across those apps together.
I love this. Okay, I wanted to see real quick. I'm going to go to what we made monorepo bits, and we are here in our projects. And I was going to try and drag, I don't know if this is going to work, option drag my source over.
So
was that a mistake?
You can move the files in, but you're going to need to tell the configuration where those files live. So let's go look at angular.json in your monorepo. And go all the way to the top, and we'll look at we'll look at it that way.
Okay.
So underneath there on line 8, you see projects.
Yeah.
And on 9 specifies demo 1. this is the definition about the metadata about your project to say, hey, this is my project and this is how you do things with my project. So it'll tell you where things live. On line 16 is the root. It tells you the prefix to use when you generate things. It tells it on line 20, when I run build, what do I run, or what builder do I run with these options starting on line 22.
Mm-hmm.
And if you collapse line 20,
Line
pulled that up.
20, this one.
Yep. Serve. When I run serve, this is what I'm running. And then this is how that gets run.
I see. So we need to make sure that the actual things
Yeah.
match. I mean, I think
Now,
since I didn't change demo, I just changed source. I feel like we might be okay.
so my suggestion would be to create the project with the same name and move
Same
in
name.
your source
And then
directory.
drag it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're thinking.
Because I'm
Okay,
assuming
wait.
you haven't changed much inside of there, and the dependencies should get brought in just fine. Did you change
no.
anything with scripts
What?
to bring in Tailwind? I don't know how Tailwind gets built in. So
So Tailwind,
I don't want to assume a facade.
do we use post CSS like in just like a normal? I just installed an Angular app. Does it include post CSS? Do you know? I don't know.
I haven't done anything with post CSS or
because I know that
Tailwind or anything else.
Tailwind needs post CSS, so I know that it's bringing that in. And then I know that it has a config file, but I think I actually had to generate the config file myself. I don't think it did it for me. And that config file is like only marginally important if you want to do some fancy bits. So like out of the box, you should just be able to install Tailwind. And then if we go into our styles anywhere, where's styles? Why is there no styles? Oh, it's in source. Wow. These three, you have to include the base, include the components, include the utilities, and then you should be able to just run with Tailwind. So
But that's all inside the source of your application, and that isn't necessarily changing anything in your Angular.
So this guy, he is not, and he's the one that I was hoping, nay, praying that I would be able to shove him inside the source and change the URL somewhere. So it's like pointing.
How do you bring him
place.
in? Like, how do you reference Tailwind config.js right now? Are you doing it through the Nx HTML file?
No idea.
I would imagine that that's being brought in the Angular CLI.
Angular CLI. Angular JSON file, probably.
.config.
Yes, I would imagine.
Tailwind.
Or it's part of the build process, and in which case it would still be
Fig, not GIF. How could it be nowhere? That doesn't make any sense. Does that make any sense? How can nothing in my Angular project be referencing the Tailwind config? Oh, because only Tailwind references it, maybe?
Because
Tailwind has this like thing where it goes through your CSS bits. Let me show you Tailwind real quick.
Yep. Let me see your Angular JSON file real quick.
Full screen Angular JSON file. I will show it to you. It is beautiful. Here it is. And you want me to like search for Tailwind?
No.
Is that not what you wanted me to do? You want me to do something else?
Oh, wait, go back.
Not helpful. Go back to the top or the bottom?
The second from the bottom.
Second from the bottom. That one.
No. Those are all just the names of the project. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just the name of the project. It's maybe not actually referenced in here.
And your builder is just
transpile thing. Let's just add Tailwind, like
because Tailwind is taking all these utility classes, and it like separate from the Angular transpile bit. It's doing its own thing. Because I recently tried to do some funky stuff where I was like, oh, hey, like Angular, here is this Tailwind variable. And then I like tried to change it in the JavaScript or the TypeScript, I guess, and then tried to give it back to Tailwind. But Tailwind had already ran. And so it was not interested in changing that variable dynamically like that. And so I don't even know if our Angular project knows about our Tailwind config. I doubt it does. It's like Tailwind's doing its thing and then Angular's over here doing its thing. So yeah, I did include it in our mono repo. So if we pull up our orange bud, he now has demo, and then our package changed, I think, to have Tailwind and post CSS. Yes, perfect. So I don't think we have post CSS by default. I think this means it's just for Tailwind. Use Angular
Not sure how
JSON.
Tailwind brings that in.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have no answers for you. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally
Because
fine.
you're using the default builder. So
yeah, I am. I'm just gonna play around with it and try to, because that's really the only missing piece here. Because otherwise, all of these projects are encapsulating everything that's different. And I was really worried because I had some students who are already struggling just to clone down the project, and I feel like I've got a lot of different levels that people are coming at. Some people told me that they're pros at CSS, and other people are like having issues just with Git. So I feel I'm a little worried at the wide range of student base here. And so I think if anything, like just to have one npm install, I think is going to be huge for the day. And I'm really excited about this, even if that means I need to make some snippets for our Tailwind config that changes over time, because but I think there should be a way. I'll figure it out. But this is amazing that you can do this. And when I've envisioned Monorepo, like I said, this is what I thought of. And it's so much less cool than what you guys showed me.
So one thing that you can also do is we talked about the idea of generating an application. The idea, same thing with that you have synonymous in .NET, is the idea of creating a library that in .NET would compile down to a DLL, but it's just code that gets referenced. It never gets run directly, but it's basically like, hey, here's some logic. Here's some things you may need for your application, and you can put it all here. And this way, multiple places can consume it. So maybe you have some utility functions or some common types. Like Justin mentioned, the idea if you have a Node app and an Angular app, and they're co-located, then you put the types in a library, and both places can access the same types.
Can point to it. So that's generate. Is it library? Hang on, let's look. I want to look at help again one more time.
You nailed it.
It was?
Yeah.
Library, and then is that going to be a library folder, or is it going to put it inside of projects?
So --dry--run.
--run like
and
that.
what that'll do is basically say, hey, I'm going to run this for you and show you what the output would be, but I'm not actually going to create any files for you.
Oh,
so
it does. It just puts it right there.
Projects. Yes.
I don't really understand the difference between a library and an application. There's just no UI.
Yeah, so there's no, you don't have you're not creating the whole application, right? So you don't have the index HTML file. You don't have all the bits that go along with, starting the Angular application. This is
what
simply,
if it is a UI library you're creating?
But hold on, but you said, but there's no UI, but it could be an Angular library that has components, that has shared components in it that you want to be able to use across different applications. So maybe you're in a setup where you are doing a different application for web versus mobile, right?
Wait, are you saying the only difference is just what you're doing with it? It's not actually fundamentally different from an application. It's just whether you want to share it out or not.
An application can be run independently by itself. A library is not runnable. It is consumable.
Oh my God, that was the best. It gave me chills. That definition gave me chills.
Chilly.
Oh, that was good. So, okay.
Let's do this. Bring that command up again. Run the command, type out ngg library. And then before the dry run, let's give it a name. Let's do a libs / or let's say shared, maybe shared, right?
Yeah, shared.
Do shared / and then do you have any components across these application versions that are the same? Are you presenting a card or something, or
yeah, we do have a card or button. Yeah, a lot of those things. Oh God, there's so many things.
And you can do this. Duplicate.
Oh no.
So let's go call it UI dash simple dash button.
And then actually do it. Yeah.
Sure. We can always delete it. I think that might be
Oh
it.
no, I did it wrong. It's so angry.
Ooh, does it not like the slash? We have to probably
It-
do dash dash directory. Is that a thing?
Maybe path.
Dash
Or
dash
pat? Yeah.
directory or
It's
oh
probably
wait,
path.
like dash dash
Do-
path
Do path space.
equals.
Yeah, that equals shared. That's fine.
And we got to
And
like get rid of
then
that.
We gotta put
Shared
the
UI
UI symbol button before the dash dash
no, I
path.
think it'll be fine.
unknown path. The help isn't going to help, right? Like if I do
It'll
ng
help.
generate,
It can.
it'll help.
So
It'll help.
you do ng generate library dash dash help. It should tell you all the options available to you.
Try run default entry force. Was path a schematic name? Prefix interactive skip installs. What? What? Why is it unhappy about path?
Because it doesn't exist.
Entry file, the path at which to create the libraries.
No.
Yeah? No. All right. So how about we do this? You guys aren't gonna like it. CD into projects. Make dir library. CD into library. Ng generate.
This will work.
Redo that command and then get rid of this and then be like, oh, it's Alyssa's lazy way of figuring it out.
You still need
Yay!
library though.
Oh, we do
You
need
still-
library.
you need library.
You're right. You're right. It's like, what am I making? I don't know you.
Cicely.
Ooh, projects.
No, because you're
Oh,
running the
no!
generate command is still running at the top level. Like,
Oh no!
so I gotta
Why
do dash
didn't it-
dash dry dash run or dash D.
I think dash D was deprecated or removed, and that makes me sad.
Okay, Mike, we gotta talk. Who's getting rid of all my shortcuts? Who's doing it?
It wasn't me. I don't know.
Name and
I'm
address.
just as unhappy about
Name
it
and
as you.
address.
What city?
What city? You can private chat it.
They
okay?
will. The person responsible will likely be in Salt Lake City next week.
Oh yeah. All you gotta do. Here's what you gotta do. Because we're gonna be hanging out a lot. You see the person. You give me one of those like wink and nod type.
I don't know who it is. I just know the Angular team will be there, so you can talk with them.
Oh, so you're just making an assumption then. Rude.
Oh, yeah. I said probably.
Okay, so I've got library. UI symbol button is now. So it wants it, or the Angular CLI wants it to be inside of projects. And I'm just going to drag it right there. And of course, it's collapsing it like Justin mentioned, and that's fine. We'll just pretend it's not doing that. This has source 2. Oh, no. What is happening?
But there is no index.html. It created what's under project?
Do you just like do it in line in your
Wait,
your
why do you have a
TypeScript?
project folder there?
I'm lost.
Oh, because you created that.
I don't
No?
know what I did.
I'm not familiar with that. Justin?
Projects, library, TS, lib button, export.
Oh, no.
I mean, it could have been me because I did jack it up a little bit. Let's go back to, hang on. I'm going to delete this. Delete. Did it delete all of it? It did not delete the folder. I don't know why it's being weird about deleting the folder. Go away. Okay. So now I'm going to be in the trash, which is going to, oh, it didn't put me in the trash. Oh no, it totally did. I'm just going to start over because I know I'm in the trash. Okay. So I'm in the Tailwind workshop and I want to do ng generate. And then I'm just going to not be fancy. I'm just going to let it generate what it generates. Library UI simple button. I think it's going to put projects in there. Oh.
You deleted the files, but you did not delete it out of AngularJSON.
Oh my gosh, Mike. You're on top of your life right now. Button. Oh, actually, I'll leave him. And I'm going to do, although I don't know if that's going to cause issues, card. And I want to see what he generates. Because I think projects is inside of lib. I think that's going to be a thing that happens. So it made card, and then we go into here. And we go into source, and then lib. So I don't know what I did. I don't know why it was so funky monkey, but there's no.
You ran it inside of a folder called library.
Okay. So it was very angry. It was very, very angry.
It was relative to where you ran it.
Not happy.
Okay. Well, this is so cool. So if you did want UI though, like we're saying we're making UI, we just put it in here or not in module, in component.
Correct.
Okay.
And you can test it just the same. You can write tests in there and run the test for that library. And then you can consume this as well.
Because it's exporting here.
Hold on. Go up. Does it put it in TS config, Justin? I've been in NX for a little bit.
Yeah. So go into I think so, like your TS config lib.json.
Not there. Your root TS config. So it's either TS config base or TS config.json.
Yeah.
So under paths, you have UI simple card. So you could, from your applications, say import from UI simple card / and then whatever you're importing. But yeah, it's coming from dist, so you need to build first. That's
interesting.
Yeah.
Hang on. I wanted to real quick. Oh, would I not would I import it in the here?
You need to pull it into the module, right?
Import. Oh, module. We called it.
So I would do it in the imports array and then let VS Code tell us what the import path will be.
It's called UI simple UI. Oh God, I have no idea what we named it. UI simple card. Okay.
Yep.
Module.
And then it's like command period or something.
Yep.
So red. What am I looking at? UI simple card. Different.
You're not importing it.
Undo that.
That wasn't what I wanted. Undo that, and then I think it just did it. With that, I did it for component. Can I just change it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
place.
Public API, yes. And then now I should have access. Maybe.
Yeah.
Do I need to also? Do we don't import here, right? Like it just has access to it.
Correct.
Yeah, we're just going to use it in a template.
Part of the module.
Okay.
And your module by default for the UI simple card module will export UI simple card component, which will give this application where you imported it the ability to use it.
What is the name? Lib. Aha! It loves the lib. I got it. And then we're gonna go back over here and then see if we can see it. That'd be so cool. Tab? No, this one. Wait, you want to be my friend? No, I don't want to be your friend. It's fine. And then I think, are we still serving? I think we are. Let's check it out. This is demo 1. This one's demo 2. And
but you generated other projects. I'm not sure if VS Code if the CLI is smart enough to pick that up now to pull up the additional external dependency.
Demo to port 466. Don't worry. I will clean up all the running projects. I probably have 7 Angular apps running right now. It's totally fine. I was gonna do because I'm like working on all these demos at the same time and I'm like hopping between them. And my husband was like, you should just have them all open on different ports. And I was like, well, at the end of the day, that might be like 20 different. I said, would it be fine? Like, have you guys ever done that? Can you do that? Will your computer be angry? I don't know.
That's a question for your computer.
You're like, that's a personal question that only your computer can answer.
So here's an interesting thought. Instead of having these all be separate projects.
Okay.
Did you consider...
Do not tell me to make them components. Don't you do it. Don't say, just make different components for it. Because then I'd have to like work in routing.
I'm not saying for Monday, but just something to consider for the future. Is have each example be a different route inside of a single application. And this way it's all running at once and you just need to change the route.
That would be too easy for them to jump to different demos. I want them to have a little bit of work.
Make them type ng serve.
Yes.
And choose
Because
a port.
I there really is intentionality behind that, because I fear people jumping ahead and not like working on what we're working on.
Yes.
And I don't know. I thought it might keep us together as a class if you have to at least jump through the hoops of ng serving. But no, I did think of that.
Can I throw my opinion in the ring about how you're running it? I just want to say thank you for running with the project side by side and not having to switch Git branches.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that.
That was another thought that went through my head of course we can use Git versioning. And then there was another one of outside of that was snippets, because I could have essentially the project grow and be like snippet 3, snippet 4, and then just like it grows and I push up and you pull down. And I was like, good God, that would be messy. And this was Joe's tips. Let us all go and look at the wisdom that is, there they are. Joe's tips. We're going to just because Joe is brilliant. If you haven't met Joe Eames, you should go and hunt him down at at NGConf if you're going to be there. But yes, his thing was, one of his exercises should not be linear. They should be independent, like each one. And so that every time I was questioning the architecture of these apps, I was lean towards making it more solo and less building on each other, because I don't know. I think he said that maybe because people get lost or they get bugs or something, or I don't know. He was very, very important on this point. Yeah. So I'm not sure why, but
so a lot of it is your ability to be able to say, we want to run this exercise before this exercise, right? Like if they're all independent, you can freely kind of move around when you address them. Somebody could miss one part or not totally grok one part, but then grok the next part. When they're little pieces, it's kind of, I think it's just easier modular to work around. But
I think so. Well, and it's also helped me this mindset of you're teaching this thing. You're not teaching the 12 things before it. It's okay to let those go.
So the nice thing about the library concept is that if there are things that you need consistently across all of these demos, that they don't really care what the implementation of those are, then they won't see that in each individual project.
Right. No, and that's not, and honestly, it just makes me a little embarrassed, because if I needed something like that, because what I would do is I would delete the demo that I had been working on, and I would just go up in the tree and find one that had that stuff and just kind of duplicate that one. And this is such a cleaner way. And I'm just, even if I don't use libraries, it's already going to be easier for the students. So I'm super pumped for that. But not only that, just I'm kind of trying to think now, other places in my life that monorepos could be helpful, just the versioning, because there's so many times, I don't know if it's just me, but I'll run into a weird bug or something, and then I'll find a workaround, but then I have to go and freaking find that workaround on all the other things. And it's easier. So I love it. Thank you guys. I know we're over time. And chat, I haven't been ignoring you. I just didn't see you. So I don't know if we missed anything in chat. It looks like you guys were talking to him. So
we was just chatting.
Oh, Jacob said it's so helpful. Great. Yeah. Hey, Martin. Well, thank you all. This was amazing.
Awesome. Certainly cool. Should we, anybody have any picks? Wrap it up with some picks.
I don't know if I have picks.
Yes.
I have picks. I'll go first.
You go first.
We give you some time to
thank you.
Figure out your picks. So about a month or so ago, I got the Mr. Coffee Cafe Barista, and it is a full functioning machine that allows me to make lattes, cappuccinos, right? And
does it have a steam wand?
It has the milk chamber. I don't even have to steam nothing. I push one button. You fill this milk chamber up with milk, and you plug that thing in. You point the milk steamer, into your cup. You've got your espresso grinds in there, and you hit a button, and boom, dude, that thing does all the work for me. And I am in heaven. I love it. It tastes so great, and that's my coffee routine, because I like my lattes. So I got to have the coffee and the milk, and so this thing does it all. I don't even have to stand there and go shh, sort of thing. It Just push button, and then I just have to clean it. So
Wait, do you stand there occasionally and make that sound at the machine?
No. The one caveat: this thing's so damn loud that like I could make a sound, but you're not going to hear it because the machine is going to override my sound with its level of decibel level. It's so loud.
Oh my god!
But the thing is great though.
But it's Mr. Coffee, right? That was the brand.
It's Mr. Coffee, yeah.
Okay.
Cafe barista. But the key, like I said, the key for me is that it has that milk chamber. Like I don't have to hold and manually do the steaming, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think
that's my pick.
Oh, okay. I've upset a lot of people with my tweet today, and I do apologize. My pick is going to be all the people who aren't on this show, like Jeff Welpley and Ed Charbonneau. I love you too. I guess in my tweet I said I'm like on with my two favorite peeps, like, and then like Ed. I love okay, but I really I'm gonna make Jeff my shout out.
Hey, shout out to second place, yo.
No, Jeff has been amazing. Like I'm organizing DevReach. Tickets are still on sale. If you want to come hang out in Boston, I think it's in 3 weeks. This amazing critter.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick, but hey, thanks.
He's going to be speaking. I'm going to be speaking. Jeff Welpley is going to be speaking, but Jeff, he's just been so kind and sweet and like helping me because he's in the Boston area. So like include the Angular meetup there, include those people, reach out to the community. So I didn't mean anything by it, but I just, these guys are so cool. You got to admit, if you're watching, you got to admit they're really cool. Okay. That is all. I'm shutting up.
That is cool.
Nice. Mike, did you have enough time to come up with a pick?
I'll be at DevReach in 3 weeks. See you there.
Totally
I'm now looking forward to seeing Jeff more than Alyssa.
It wasn't even my pick. Like
I
it
know.
just came out of my mouth. I apologize.
It's cool.
Mr.
Awesome.
Coffee is my father, Martin. Oh yeah, that's funny.
So just to wrap up real quick, there's different levels for Monorepo. 1, put everything under the same repository. 2, have each project be completely separate in a folder within there. 3, use the Angular CLI to have a root base that's organizing everything to allow shared code.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have something like Nx that does some dependency helping and some other niceties on top of that as well.
If you wanted to use Nx, would you? Because it's
Visit
kind of weird.
nx.dev. I absolutely would.
Do you use the CLI to like generate the monorepo and then you bring in Nx? Like, how does that work?
Depends on the state of the project. I believe there's an upgrade path to get from the CLI to Nx, but typically I start out with Nx.
With it. Okay.
Even if I'm not going to have a monorepo, it just gives me the flexibility to grow.
Okay, Martin, I don't even know what a micro repo is. I think you're making that up.
It's each project in its own separate repo.
That's called life. That's called normal life. Like what?
All right. Well, that's definitely another show.
That is another show. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Hopefully
Thanks,
we'll see
everyone.
you all at NGConf. Mwah!
See ya.